What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of Lovecraft Country Season 1, Episode 9, Rewind 1921. Before we begin, hey, if you like my channel, of course, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like any videos, awesome, hit the like button and comment below on any video you watch, including this one. Okay, this season, once again, has gone to places that have been dark, have been deep, have been sad, somber, poetic, dangerous, everything you can imagine. We still have one episode left in this season, and this episode was it was interesting. It really was. And so we have Letti, Montrose, and Tick heading to 1921 to basically save Dee with the help of not only Christina, who has basically made a pact that once she is able to help they get the book from 1921, the Book of Names. Tick will have to go back to the house that we saw in the second and first episodes, and will have to be part of this ritual that will gain Christina immortality. And so, with that said, Hippolyta returns. Okay, not really specific on how she returns, but she returns. And she has the ability to, with the help of getting the machine fixed, which is a time machine or a multi-dimensional machine, she is able to use some kind of device that she is implanted in her hands and her like wrist right here, almost like if it's like Matrix style wrist thing or whatever. And she hooks herself up, and the three travel to 1921. That's where most of this episode takes place. And this episode is a tour de force for Michael K. Williams. He's always been really good in this series up to this point, but Michael K. Williams is he's giving a portrayal, an acting choice of showing how much he kind of like how much of his life was truly messed up, how much of his life was truly full of regret. So we go back to 1921. They end up in this room, this building or whatever, and they have to go to the Freeman house, the house where the Book of Names is. But if we ever know anything about time travel, especially in TV series and books and movies, you can't change anything. If you change stuff, it affects the future. It could cause, people to disappear. It could cause people to do things that are different. It could, have that butterfly effect and all that good stuff. So in essence, we have Letti going to the house, which is where pretty much all of Tick's family is going to die. We see, of course, Tick's father, Montrose's father, who's a very abusive individual. We see Montrose and George, a very young age. We see just all these people that are going to die on this night in 1921 when a riot breaks out. There's a school prom that gets shut down. And the whole segment is you see the fear coming, you see the uncomfortable nature of what Letti has to do, and she has to basically disguise herself as somebody that is partial to the whole situation. Now, with that said, it was supposed to be all three of them, but Montrose, who is having a hard time dealing with it, he's drinking moonshine, I guess in essence is what it is. He runs off to basically try to save himself, save his first true love, his boyfriend. And Tick has to go after him. And the scene that Montrose plays out, or the Michael K. Williams character plays out, as he's watching himself and the young kid who he was very infatuated with, having to kind of hide the fact that they're both, gay, is heartbreaking. It's sad. It's depressing. It's brutal. Because as much as the Montrose character wants to save him, Atticus keeps telling him you can't do anything about it. There's nothing in this world that can save this kid we see is brutally shot in this episode. It's disturbing. A bunch of white gentlemen come off a truck, and one of them shoots the young kid in the face, and they start beating up the kid. George comes and saves Montrose, but they're getting beat up and probably gonna end up being killed by these white gentlemen. And it's very sad. It really is. It's one of the strengths of this series, is showing how disturbing and uncomfortable and sad the whole race riot situation is. It just shows you that it doesn't matter if it's 1921 or the 1950s, or I think, or 60s, wherever this takes place. or 2020. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be a problem until we actually do something about it. It's always going to be a major issue. I mean, you look at like Charlottesville and stuff like that. It's a huge issue. And so the thing that changes though is there's a mysterious person that saved Montrose and George, and they can't figure out who it is. Well, the thing that they figure out and that they realize is that Atticus is the one that saved Montrose and George. So they actually changed the future a little bit, which I don't know if it was for the better or what. Who knows what happens before this incident happens. But he grabs the bat and he just basically beats the hell out of the white folks. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty violent. I'm not gonna be able to show a lot of pictures of this episode because it's extremely violent, but there are some cool imagery of just like the slow motion of certain scenes in this segment. Not what we're seeing with Atticus and the white people, but it's a really powerful scene. It's one of Michael K. Williams' best scenes I've ever seen him do. His breakdown of his character, his emotional angst and guilt, and it actually was making me tear up a little bit because of how powerful it really is. And it truly kind of cements how good the series can be when written well. This episode was written by Misha Green, Jonathan Kidd, Sonia Winton. I'm looking at the IMDb page just to double check. And it just really shows you that when you can write powerful dialogue and you get the right person to do that dialogue, they can hit it out of the park. And it's really, truly, honestly, an episode about the regrets of Montrose Freeman. It really is. So we are at the point where they both head back, and Letti hasn't popped back up yet. Of course, Atticus jumps through the portal, and Hippolyta is like in some kind of weird phase, and she's like screaming in pain. Her hair turns purple at some point, but she has to keep the portal open. The portal dissipates at one point, which gives Montrose a really interesting dialogue moment. But we go back a little bit and we have Letti, who was in this house, and the grandparents of, I think, Montrose and the great grandparents of Atticus, stuff like that. The grandmother realizes that Letti, there's something wrong about her, and Letti explains to her that she's from the future and she needs a book of names, and it comes to the realization the grandmother kind of believes her, not at first, but kind of starts to believe her, and then she comes to the realization that they're going to die and she's going to save everybody in the family. But Letty's like, you can't save anybody. If you save anybody, I lose my baby. You could lose Atticus, you could lose Montrose, you could lose all these people. And it's a heartbreaking scene because you realize the grandmother realizes what is going to happen. And then it gets more excruciating when the grandmother catches on fire. I won't show it, but it's really graphic, and it's an entire minute shot of just watching this woman, who is probably a great woman, just burn alive while Letti watches. Unfortunately, can't do anything. She has the spell where she can't be touched. But it really hits home and is really powerful when you see Letti walking through the street, holding the book, slowly walking as chaos is happening down the street. You know, things are exploding. There's rioting, there's shooting. There's a bomber plane that's just throwing bombs on the street. It's really kind of a weird moment. And Letti eventually gets to the house, and Montrose and Letti run through the portal, and that's the end of the episode. It's a powerful episode. It really is. Not on a level of like insanity, but just on a level of character moments, on a level of character development. It really, like I said, once again, it gives Michael K. Williams a new character arc. That his character's been so far back and forth throughout this entire series that you don't know what to believe anymore. But I think this truly cemented that Montrose is just a very conflicted character, a very sad character, and a character that just sometimes can't deal with the pain, and sometimes he has to be reminded that sometimes the pain is your biggest strength, I guess. And then on top of that, the big bombshell is Montrose might not even be George or Atticus's father. It might be George, because of the situation in 1921, because of everything that happened. So it brings Atticus to a crossroads of just wanting to hate Montrose, but after he sees what happens, I think it strengthens the bond. So, but that's pretty much it. Dee, we see her as kind of being possessed by those two girls from the last episode. So she has like the makeup and like the dreads and stuff like that. Really scary moment, really scary point. But I'm sure they'll save her. I'm sure Christina will save her, and it's going to lead into probably a very insane series or season finale, depending on what it is. I think it's a season finale. I hope it's, I hope there's a second season, which it probably will be, but I'm interested. I'm excited, and I can't wait for episode 10, whatever that is. So, but that's it. That is my take on this episode. Very, very powerful, very moving, very touching stuff with a lot of interesting character moments. So, but that's it. That'll do it on Lovecraft Country Season 1, Episode 9, Rewind 1921. Once again, a lot of words to say at once. But let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What would you think was the best moment in the episode? Like I said, Letty walking through the fire was pretty awesome. But anyways, thank you so much. If you like what you see, of course, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit the like button. And that's it. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace out.